the show with?
No, not really.
We can try not to talk about Maud.
No, I think they're expecting it from us.
Oh no, there's no time for Maud talk this week. Master storyteller Theo Peck is on the show. Cue the music. It's the Seti Bimco Show with your hosts, Tim and John. I have to tell you, I prefer Golden Girls to Maud anyway.
I'm not gonna. Hey, this is the Seti Bimco Show. The show where we look at teenage drama in real life and in movies. And this week we're going to talk with Theo Peck.
Yes, he
has a lot to say.
The owner of the can I call it the food mecca?
Yes, the food mecca. A shout out to all his coworkers who are listening now.
I hope he makes them listen. Like that's going to be like their punishment. So how'd your week go, Tim?
My week was just busy. It's very nice last weekend. Took Sol for lots of walks, trying to keep her busy. And I'm working on things I can't talk about
you
yet.
Don't want to jinx them or reveal them.
So nothing.
I gotcha. Okay.
Nothing.
But you're working.
I didn't go to. Yeah. Nothing happened. And I'm not going to ask you how your weeks are for now. And I'm going to call it. Ask John's thoughts.
Well, here's my thought. So, I don't know what it was. Saturday, it was.
Because that's what.
Yeah, because it's just like John's stream of consciousness. Because I don't even know what's going to come out of my mouth. And so, Saturday, it was
that's how I like it.
It was hot, and I was like, I really don't want to cook, and I never eat fast food. Never eat fast food. But I was like, you know what? There's a Burger King right down the street. So not only did I get the Whopper, but I got the double Whopper with cheese and an order of French fries. Yes, the 2 patties of flame broiled goodness. I know I never eat this stuff. I was like, I'm just craving it. I don't know why I'm craving it. And I find when I'm on a diet or I'm training or whatever, I find out just give into that one craving, because if you don't, it's just going to build up and build up and build up. And next thing you know, you're passed out on your floor with 3 pan pizza boxes around you. Yes. You know what I'm saying? You're in a stupor. So just give into. So I just got the damn burger. Yes. And it was so hot that day. It was it was 82. So I get into the apartment and I put the burger and the fries on a plate and I grab something out of the fridge to drink. And I just take off my clothes because it's just so hot and I've been working all day. And I'm just in my Calvin Klein briefs.
Strange term.
I'm just in my Calvin Klein briefs and I'm hungry and I'm starving. I just want to eat this burger and get it over with. And, maybe I'll binge and purge later. I don't know. I haven't decided at this point. So I'm so basically I am. It's like an ad for Abercrombie and Finch. Exactly. If the Abercrombie and Finch models were allowed to have a little bit of a punch in the belly. So I get, so here I am, I'm sitting at my table. I'm devouring this double Whopper with cheese and these French fries, barely coming fair. And I'm sitting in my Calvin Klein briefs and my black ankle socks. And that's it. And all I can think of is.
Now it's disgusting.
Well, here's what I'm thinking. What if I had a massive heart attack right now and they found my body 3 days later in my Calvin Klein briefs, my black ankle socks face first in a double Whopper with cheese. I mean, that's right up there with Elvis on the Crapper. I mean, I know he was the king of rock and roll and all, but in the end, they found him on the Crapper. I'm just saying, you know what I mean? I'm always, that's not I'm going to be, it's maybe called a phobia. I'm always afraid I'm going to die this really embarrassing death. That's going to go all, go viral. You know what I mean? Man attacked by pigeons. So I'm going to have some very strange and bizarre death that that's going to go viral one day and be like, oh, I went to high school with him. He was always kind of a freak. That doesn't surprise me.
You can keep those pigeons away with Epicap
and owls.
Breadcrumbs.
I've heard.
All right.
Why don't we get into this show? I think I've said enough now, don't you?
Yeah, with that, we need to introduce our guest because he's
just chomping at the bit.
He talks a lot. Okay, we're going to introduce our very special guest, Theo Peck. Yay! We don't have an audience.
No, what I was saying about the restaurant was it's Theo, all about how you market it. It's when the guest asked me, what's the difference between a cake and a tort? I said, well, we can't charge $7 for a piece of cake.
I hear you exactly.
Wait, before you start, I want to introduce Theo.
Okay, I'm sorry. Here we go.
Theo Peck is the owner of the very popular Peck's and Peckish in Brooklyn. It's a deli or a dining experience. His family owned and operated the famous New York restaurant Ratner's, which was open from 1905 to 2004. Your great-grandfather opened that?
Am I allowed to talk? Yes, he did. I just don't know when I'm allowed to talk. You let me know. But yeah, my great grandfather started in 1905. But the thing is that there were three partners there in the venerable Ratner's restaurant. Unfortunately,
I read the Wikipedia that they flipped the coin for the name.
Well, I'm glad to see that you get your history from Wikipedia. That's pretty much true. Actually, someone, I'm not going to say who, secretly put my name on that on the Ratner's Wikipedia, and had mentioned an incident that I was a little embarrassed by. But I was like,
I read it.
We're
going to get to that. You spilled whiskey on a camera during the filming.
Yeah. Well,
Bring Out Your Dead.
Yeah, I mean,
were you trying to tell the director what to do, Theo? I know what you're like.
Actually, the only person I talked to was Nick Cage's double. I talked to Nick Cage's double like the entire time. That was he was my buddy. So what happened is, I'm not sure if you know this, Tim, but I owned a nightclub on the Lower East Side in the 90s, when New York was, still rugged, I guess, called Lansky Lounge behind Ratner's. And I guess it had an alley. Yeah, and it had an alleyway entrance that they wanted to use for this ultimate scene in Bring Out the Dead, where I guess Nick Cage and Tom Sizemore, I think one of them find God. I don't know. I mean, they beat the crap out of, Mark Anthony for a bit, and then they go out and find God. But it takes place in the alleyway. And we were, obviously they paid us to close down the bar. So we basically took all the bottles of whiskey up to the roof to watch the filming. And, you could imagine I was in my 20s. I owned a nightclub. There were things happening. There were,
Yes.
Who knows what happened. But I'm not even sure it was my fault, to be honest with you. I felt it was a bartender named Vegas who actually did it. So I don't want to say anything. But so I feel that was put on there. I don't know how to say it. Maybe by Vegas. I don't know. That lets you know everything about. I mean, it's kind of funny. I hadn't even thought about that incident in so long. I mean, I will say this: when you watch, so what happened is they pay you, right, and then they ignore you. They were. It's a terrifying lot. All I'm going to tell you is that when I was sitting there, you have, I guess, can I say Mr. Scorsese? You have Mr. Scorsese, Mr. Cage, and Tom Sizemore looking at this bank of videos at the bar. Now, what happened is during the filming, they closed the bar. So what do you think we do the whole time? We try to get all the actors and get everybody drunk. Exactly.
Right.
So
you can steal their money.
Exactly. So we're like, they're throwing money down. We're having like a good time. And basically just talking to all like the extras, right? As I said, Nick Cage's double, very charming, very charming. So we decide to go up to the roof so we can look down on the alleyway. And we have like all these bottles of whiskey in our hands and a bag of ice and all this stuff. We're trying to bring glasses up there. And all I know is I feel as if this gentleman who we employed as a bartender named Vegas, I just want to say something in my defense. I thought maybe that he possibly knocked the drink out of my hand. Is it my fault because the drink was in my hand? Potentially. But could Vegas then also be somewhat culpable in this? Possibly.
Are you naming
That's
real
all
names?
I'm saying.
Do I have to blank out his name or I'll get sued?
No, his name is that was like literally like let's put it this way.
That's the name on his birth
I don't
certificate.
even know if Vegas is still alive. How about that? If Vegas is still alive, God bless him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Vegas was one of those guys. Vegas was one of those guys.
Someone?
No, Vegas was one of those guys. You're like, is he going to make it to 40? I don't know. You're like, he lived at, we didn't call him Vegas for no reason. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
he came from Las Vegas.
On the edge.
And he made money by bartending at my bar and impersonating Fat Elvis. That was his two jobs. So, I mean, I don't know what happened to him.
But I want to ask you, I'm hogging questions. I know we both have questions. John, I just have one more question, John.
That's fine. I sit here patiently as always.
I mean, believe me,
your
once I
family's
get
restaurant.
Going, yes. What about
your
my
family's
restaurant?
Ratner's.
Ratner's.
On Wikipedia, it's like Billy Graham, L. Jolson, Edie Gourmet, and Groucho Marx went there. Did you ever see Groucho Marx? He was pretty old when you were a kid, but
that was pretty old. But I mean, we saw all the great Jewish celebrities I have seen at one point or another in Ratner's. Now, when I was young, I had no idea who they're talking about. But like you would get like the whole the most thrilling was probably Bob Dylan. For me, seeing him eat. Exactly. And, it's kind of crazy, right? He's sitting there and you're like, and it's like, Ratner's back in the day was like, it was a 500-seat restaurant. There was like empty all the time. Yeah. So if you're Bob Dylan sitting there.
Did Bob order the gefilte fish? I just want to know.
No.
Did Bob order the gefilte fish? No.
He had latkes and pierogies. So, believe me, I would have told him if I was serving him, I would have said, stay away from the gefilte fish. It's not my favorite.
That's one fish I'd throw back.
Well, no. it's the Frankenstein of fish. Yes. But I mean, the thing is, like, we were also very famous for having these gangsters. We had a lot of Jewish gangsters would like do business there. Bugsy Siegel, whatnot. Like for example,
again, do I have to blank this all out?
No.
Well, Bugsy Siegel, no. I mean,
but Bugsy hasn't been with us for quite some time. Did you not see the Warren? Did you not see the Warren Beatty movie, Tim? Come on.
Yes.
I will tell you this though. When we opened Lansky Lounge, we didn't think that anyone would be upset, but we actually got called by Meyer Lansky's relatives, who are like, "Hey, what's going on here?" And they gave us their blessing because they felt that we had elevated his reputation.
Oh,
they're like, "Oh, this like swanky lounge, it's Lansky." So we got props from the family.
Nice.
That's a very unusual phone call to get, though. I'll be honest with you.
Because at that point, Lansky's family was still digging up the backyard looking for the money. You know what I mean? They're like, I don't think it was like in a bank or anything. It was like in a sock in a coffee can out in the backyard somewhere.
Well, like the weirdest part is I don't know if you can imagine this, but we told people like, we kind of, I want to say is like when we opened up Lansky Lounge, we kind of maybe, how would you say, stretched a little bit of the truth. You know what I mean? Like it's marketing, right? It's marketing. And,
is it true that he ate there and he thought he should have his own room? On Wikipedia
all the time. But he didn't. But he didn't have his own. The whole backroom story was something we just kind of made up on the fly. Yet somehow it became the whole story, and people are like, "Oh, this is the back room where you do all his business, yada yada." But it was totally fake. I mean, it was just he was a customer.
It was fake. We understand.
Well,
it was all
half
fake.
The stuff we learned.
But I will say, no money changed hands.
Half of the stuff we learned about George Washington wasn't true. So I mean,
right.
It's funny you say that because I was just at Mount Vernon, the home of George Washington, with my son, and the tour guide himself said, half of what you know about George Washington is fake. John, I don't know if you've been on that tour recently, but I feel you have. Yeah, I mean, I got that same.
It's been a number of years. It's been a number of years, yeah.
So yes, I just thought you'd have all these stories about entertainers you met while working, because you worked at Ratner's when you were young, right?
I worked at Randall since I was 6, but I didn't really meet I didn't really meet any of the when I was at Randall's when I was young, I didn't really understand who I was meeting. You know what I'm saying? When you're young, you just get introduced to everybody like they're just like your cousins or whatnot.
But even when you're young, Groucho, he's got the glasses and the nose and the mustache. Come on.
You know what's upsetting me?
And the cigar.
Well, here's what I'm going to say. The only thing that's upsetting me, the more you say Groucho, I'm looking at my little picture in the phone here, and I see my eyebrows, and I see the glass, and I feel like literally I'm wearing Groucho glasses right now while talking to you. I'm like,
we're not showing the pictures, Theo.
I know, but I'm like just shocked. I'm like, when did this happen?
Right,
did this happen in like my 40s?
Do I need to find someone in the Marx family and get a DNA test? I mean, what's going on here?
Pretty much. I mean, look at this. I mean, I swear to God. And not only that, I trim my eyebrows like every 7 days. I mean, this is
7 days.
This is trimmed.
God. Yeah, I got to do it every 3 weeks. Yeah.
It doesn't stop.
It doesn't stop. Hair just starts growing where you don't want it to grow. It's just part of aging.
Well, I mean, the thing is, like, my mom used to put, like, I would come into the kitchen when I was younger, like when I was like 9 or 10, and she'd be like, come here. And I'd be like, what? And she'd like just take this like popsicle stick with hot wax and not tell me and just slap it right between my eyes on my unibrow. And I'd be like, whoa, what the? And I'd be like, this is so painful. And then she would just come and like rip it off. And I'd be like, what just happened? What? I don't even know. And she'd be like, you look so much better. Come here. And I mean, every time and the thing was, it was like this hot wax pot. I don't even know if the pot was ever changed, if the wax was ever changed. But she had this wax pot like in the kitchen, and it would just sit there. And I know every time she'd start bubbling, I'd be like, oh, fuck, I got to get out of the room.
You're
so,
like,
yeah.
And you're you're like, the kids the kids whose family own the Greek restaurant don't have to do this.
I mean, the funny part is like, I don't have any hair growing here anymore. It's crazy. Like, it means she ripped every follicle out.
Mission accomplished. There
she did it for like years. Exactly.
There you go.
You should have seen before my brother got married. Well, before my brother got married, my mom was like, listen, one more time. I'm going to send you to this expensive place for eyebrows, okay? It's very expensive, but we're going to make your eyebrows look nice because otherwise they're disgusting. And then so that's how I see my, like, I'm like, okay.
You haven't given me a complex since I was 9, Mom. Jesus.
Don't worry. There's complexes everywhere in the room.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure, yeah.
Did she do this to everyone that came to your house?
No, just me. But what would happen is, like, before like a big holiday, like Passover or something, and all my aunts were there, they'd all be slapping wax on each other, like being like, oh, let me get your chin, let me get your mustache, let me get your face. Like, everybody was getting wax. It was like we're making borscht and wax in our face. It was crazy.
Borscht and wax.
I'm a borscht and wax, baby. That's my podcast coming out next month.
And wax.
Oh, good. I want to hear
Seder memories. Yes, yeah, that would be. That's awesome.
And you. I have no segue for that. Do you, John?
Oh, I could go in any direction.
Segue onto some food. Before you tell your story,
I could have gone on to Brazilian waxes. I could have gone on to. There are tons of things I could have segued to. So don't you worry about me. I'm just keeping my mouth shut.
Well,
okay.
Well, I mean, I hear that, I can't, I mean, all I'll say is I grew up with a mother who was very concerned about my every waking moment. Maybe not for the good. That's how I would segue into anything,
Oh, yeah. Well, because, I can segue because I don't think she was that worried, because I want to segue to your younger days before teenage days, because you told me, and I mentioned to John, you made brownies and went out on the streets of Manhattan at night. Is this at night? And just sold brownies to strangers.
Well, you don't end up, having a bakery, cafe, coffee shop, deli / dining experience in Brooklyn at the age of 50, Mecca, without starting somewhere. So what I did is, I guess when I was like 11 or 12, and I had like during the summer, what I would do is I would make I had like a laundry cart, the laundry cart?
Yeah.
And I would make 10 varieties of brownies, and I'd have a cooler in the bottom. I would ice, I'd put milk and cups in there in the chest freezer on the bottom of the thing. Then I'd have my 10 varieties of brownies, and what I would do is I'd wrap each one in like cellophane, but nice cellophane, and then I put a little teddy bear on it, boom,
very
get
good
the
for
sticker.
the environment.
Exactly, very good. And then I would have a sign, and I'd say teddy bear brownies, and I had 10 varieties, 4 with nuts, 6 without nuts, but just all sorts of craziness. And I would go out on the streets at all times at night and the day. As a matter of fact, I was just telling my son that I was out on the street at 10 o'clock at night on a Thursday, and he was like, what? Like, that's crazy. And I'm like, no, I'm only like 2. I'm like, my son knows it's crazy.
You were perfectly safe because your eyebrows were nicely waxed. So.
Exactly. Well, you see, what happened is I started out during the day, and I would I would go to the entrance at 72nd. I'd go to Strawberry Fields. This is like before, I guess it was maybe like early. It's 1982. So I'd be selling, so I'd be selling brownies on the street. And, I'm going to say something. Business wasn't necessarily brisk. I had to bring in some shills, right? So
some what?
So, I'd have people come and, shills. They would come and buy stuff and be like, oh my, this is such amazing brownies on the street. This child here. Who makes such great brownies? Oh my God!
And who are these people?
These were like my mom's friends. All my mom's Jewish friends from the city would come, like Sandy Abrams, Esther Ann, Susan Kessler. They would all come and be like, "Oh my God,
these brownies are to die for.
Have you seen this?
I have never eaten such a wonderful brownie. Have you, Sheila? Boy, it's to die for."
Exactly.
Look at this beautiful child with his waxed eyebrows.
Well, the thing is, I learned something. My cousin owned a good humor truck, one of the old fashioned ones with the little bell, like not a Mr. Softy. And so like this is still around that time. Like sometimes I'd go to the park and I would sell good humor ice cream from the truck. And our saying was uptown ice cream at downtown prices. Ooh. So I kind of worked that little into my brownies. I'd be like,
gotcha.
Uptown brownie. Now it's odd saying this in 2022, but in 1982, this had a place. Yes. So what I did is I will say, so I started doing it at night because I thought I'd make more money. Plus, people
tell John
drinking.
About your famous customer.
Oh, I'm going to. I am. Are you kidding me?
Because
this is a moment. This is a moment of my life.
I don't have to be back to work until 3:00 tomorrow afternoon. You can talk all you want.
Well, the thing is, I need to know if this is actually true or not.
Start with the one you can tell us.
Oh, I am. So what happened?
Theo, I think you're forgetting one. I know. You talked about this a little bit because I don't know if you can say the name. But
I know what you're gonna. But I'm not. You'll just see. Let me.
Go ahead.
How about this? All I'm gonna say, because I don't mean to be a pain in the butt, but let me put it this way: I will not say the person's name, but if John Kelly asks me for the name, I'm going to give it to him. Okay. All right, that's all I'm saying. If John Kelly, if I can convince John that he needs the name. I'm going to give it to him. All right.
This is how I get around this. This is how I get around this, Theo. Like I say things like, I don't want to name the actor I had to get to the party, but his name began with G and it ended with Gregory Peck. So if you could say like the name began with like S and ended with Steve Lawrence, like something like that. You know what I'm saying?
Well, here's the thing. It's going to be very surprising because I don't know how you're going to feel about this. So, it's about – so I started selling on Columbus Avenue, right? Columbus Avenue at 73rd Street. This is back in the go-go, 80s of New York, a little bit rough, a little bit tumble. And I would go out there and I had my whole spiel, right? I did this whole spiel. I'd be like, listen, everybody, I'm doing a sample survey because, this storefront that you see here that's closed, we're thinking of renting it. And if you like my brownies, this would be great, and my shills would come and I'd have all this stuff. And, so we have teddy bear brownies, right? And so I started getting a little, started feeling confident. So I'm out there. It's about, 8 o'clock. It's a little dark. Now, when I was younger, and I'm saying this to John and Tim, I don't know how if you know how adolescence works, but I did not have hair. I didn't have hair on my face, right? I was very clean, right?
That's because your mom was throwing wax on it.
Yeah, there was wax everywhere. I had great eyebrows. And I don't know, John, if you could see, I have very long eyelashes, John. You need to see. You see those? Like some people say I'm the Elizabeth Taylor of Jewish boys. Yes. You know what I'm saying?
But we'll say,
oh my God,
let's pretend we see them. Oh, those are wonderful eyelashes.
You see what I mean? They're thick.
I trust Tim's opinion. I mean, I'm sure Tim, probably the reason why he put you on the podcast was because of your eyelashes.
Yes, I just wanted to see them.
Exactly. They speak for themselves. They speak for themselves.
He said to me, John, we got to have this guy on the podcast. You should see his eyelashes.
Well, I mean, the thing is, I need to maybe say also that I didn't get to pick my clothes as a child, right? I mean, I don't know about you, but I mean, like when my son
forget the restaurant. I want to know. Okay, well, go ahead.
Yeah, I'd be like Tobias. Whatever you want to wear, you wear. Right? That's my kid. Yeah. You want to wear. Mm-hmm. My mom would be like, "This is what you're wearing." I'm like, "All right." So my mom, it was a hot day.
Had that upbringing,
it's a hot night. She's like, "Why don't you wear your lovely short sleeve pink polo shirt?" I'm like, "Okay, Mom. You know what? Moms know best. I'm gonna wear the shirt. And why don't you wear your pleated, khaki shorts? Those will look really great with khaki shorts with a braided belt. That will look fantastic." So I'm wearing this outfit. I'm out there. I'm doing my thing, right? And I'm, I haven't hit that age where I have this deep baritone voice that you guys are listening to. Maybe it's a little squeaky. And also, and this is going to be a shocker, I was a little pear-shaped. You know what I'm talking about?
Okay.
So I had a little girth right here. So what that did is it caused a little heaviness up top, right? Let's just say a little heaviness up here. So I'm sitting there, and this gentleman is talking to me, right? And I have no idea what's going on. A young gentleman, probably like 22 or something like that.
He had to be 20 or 22.
He had to be a young guy, right? You already know. He's like a young guy.
Because he's in Grizzly 2. We know he's in Grizzly 2, but okay, let's go.
Well, we're talking and we're hanging out, and he's like sitting there. And I mean, he's being super pleasant. And I'm like, oh, yeah, hey, man, what's up? And I'm like, he's like, I'm just hanging out. I got a big audition tomorrow for all my children. I'm like, yeah, that sounds great. I'm like, you know what, the soap opera my mom watches? Yeah, you know, we're talking stuff. And, you know, at the same time, you know, it's getting late, and now I'm being picked on by some young youths, right? Some street youths. They're now picking on me. They're like trying to steal my brownies. They're taking my samples, all this stuff, right? And I mean, this guy is like, man, you better watch out. I'm like, I know, I hear you. And, you know, the guys that come and they steal one of my brownies and they start running. And I'm like, you motherfuckers, you could suck my dick, you fucking cocksucking assholes, right? Yes. All of a sudden I look at the guy and he looks at me. He's like, you're a dude? And I'm like, yeah, I'm a dude. And I was like, he's like, oh, okay. And then he just kind of slowly got out of there. Now, and this is all I'm saying. This is all I'm saying. And this is the most important part. I feel that I saw him on television within the 2 years of that incident.
He was on a show called Roseanne, right?
Or Facts of Life. I thought I saw him, and I'm like, because I was a big Facts of Life guy. Who didn't like Mindy, Tootie, Blair, all those people. And
even Joe the lesbian, yes.
And I'm watching. Yeah, even Joe and Mrs. Garrett. Let's not forget. I know that show backwards and forwards. You know, I like when they go and they buy the bong and they tell them it's the jelly bean holder, and then Tootie buys the jelly bean holder. It's a terrific episode.
Television.
Anyway,
wait. Tootie buys an actual
bong.
What?
Wait, what was it? What did they say?
So what happened is Blair and Joe go to the city. They buy a bong, right? They bring it back. Well, what happens is Tootie and Mindy see it, and they're like, "What's that?" And they're like, "Oh, it's a jelly bean holder. Don't worry about it."
Jelly bean holder.
And then they go to the city and get a jelly bean holder, and Miss Garrett sees it. And then I don't know if like this was like the time where like Nancy Reagan would come on shows and be like, "Just say no."
She did do
that.
But
anyway,
that she showed up.
Yeah, but she was there. So this is just to prove that I was a fan of Facts of Life and that I watched it. And this guy might have been on it. It could have been him, or it could have been someone who kind of looked like him, who was on a kind of a Fuller House type of show. You know what I'm saying?
No, wasn't he on Roseanne?
You know, like in other words, good-looking guys with a kind of semi-mullet. You know what I'm saying?
Very dark mullet.
That's all I'm saying.
Very Greek, swarthy, Mediterranean-looking, and that's all you're going to say. Could have been
kind of
like.
Kind of like how I look now. Kind of like how I look now. You know, but I would like to just say is I don't know if it were these guys or not. All I want is I would just love to know if it was. That's all. That's all. I just want to know if it was him or not. That's it.
Just want to know.
I don't know if it's true or not. I just want to know. It could have been Tim. I don't even know.
Yeah.
Yes, I am that old.
Yeah. But anyway, yes.
How did Tony Randall steal your
Wait, can I just ask a question? I feel like I'm getting left out of this conversation. Yes. No, like
John, I'm here with you, John. I love you, John.
Like have any recollection in your mind of like maybe a van with an open side door running? You know, and they thought you were a girl, and then all of a sudden the van wasn't there anymore when they found out you were a guy. Yeah. I think that might have been.
Well, you know, I was pretty feisty.
Wasn't there a van just here with the side door
like a round mound of trouble?
Where'd that van go?
I mean, the thing is, then also, I guess I had a lot of trouble with people, you know, because when I guess what Tim wants to know about is like all the, you know, I guess you would say that not only do urban youth steal from me, but you know, Tony Randall was also a potential customer. You know, Tony Randall, wonderful. You know, The Odd Couple, saw all of those multiple times. He lives in Dakota. I was selling brownies in front of Dakota, right? And he comes out, you know, he comes by and he's like, oh, what a pleasant, you know, I mean, I'm not going to do him, but he's like, oh, what a pleasant booth. This is so great.
Oh, come on, do it.
You know, ma'am, I can't do it. But I'm like, he's like, may I have a brownie? I'm like, oh, well, of course you may have a brownie. Here you go, Tony Randall. And he takes the brownie and he just keeps walking. He doesn't pay. He just kept walking. I was like, what just happened?
Did he have a jelly bean holder?
No, I have no idea. I was like,
was he incredibly high?
He was great. I mean, he probably, I don't know. Back then I had no idea what high was. This is before I went to,
I thought he bought one. I didn't know he stole one. I made that joke not knowing. I thought he bought a brownie.
He, unfortunately, people, celebrities think they can get away with moida. That's all I'll have to say about that. But, that is, I would say that is, the brownie industry is a tough industry to break into when you're, 12 years old, selling brownies illegally on the street. I was destined for failure here. You know what I mean?
How many times were you mugged?
Only twice, those 2 times. But I will say by Tony Randall and street use.
Only those two? Only by Tony Randall and a few street thugs.
But I will say this: the whole summer, I worked my ass off all summer to make I think I made $230 after everything was said and done, a whole summer worth. So, I'm surprised I'm still in the business.
Well, Tony Randall, people don't know this, but he had a whole gang of street thugs. That was probably his street thugs that stole your brownie to begin with, and then he just went,
No, I feel he might have been. What was the guy from Oliver Twist? Fagin? Maybe he was like a Fagin. He had all his, street urchins. I mean, John, how are you doing, John? I feel like
I'm doing
John, how are things with you?
Oh, I'm doing great.
How's
fine.
Upstate?
Oh, it's fine. We had some really rough weather go through today, and it was like, people were like, there's going to be a tornado. There's going to be a tornado. I was like, look, I saw The Wizard of Oz. Everything turned out fine. Don't worry about freaking tornadoes.
Exactly. Well, if you...
And we had that story.
I did just see Wicked recently, so I'm with you on that.
I have yet to see that. I have never seen that.
Well, my son has an interest in musical theater. Really? I didn't even know because, my mom, John, if you ever want to see theater, a Jewish mother just takes his kid to theater. I saw so many musicals growing up. It was crazy. Oh. That was all the time.
Yeah.
That's all.
Oh, yeah. I was born in the Bronx. And I had a great aunt, Irish Catholic, and really, let's face it, the only difference between Jews and Catholics are Jews are born with guilt and Catholics are taught it in school. And so I had that great aunt with more money than God who was from Park Slope and would take me to.
She took you to see they shoot horses.
They shoot horses, don't they? Because she thought it was a Western. She took me to see Oh Calcutta because she thought it was about Gandhi.
So Theo.
Yes, sir.
We only want to take an hour of your time, and I want you to tell.
Well, I'm hoping you're going to edit, for the love of God,
about this high school story.
All right.
So,
John,
we got to go
ready to hear
back in time. And what are you willing to tell us how old you were?
I'm not sure if I was 14 or 13. You know what I mean?
You're 14 or 13.
Yeah, so I was 14 or 13.
Okay.
I went
You're going to high school where? In Manhattan?
Am I allowed to? Oh my God, no. I mean, I went to this high school that's okay, so I went to this high school called Horace Mann. It's a private school up in the Bronx. Yo, Jay Kelly, what's up? It's in the Bronx, in Riverdale.
That's not the Bronx I was raised in, but anyway.
Yeah, I was about to say, it's a different Bronx, trust me. I whenever I'm trying to hide the fact I went to Horace Mann, I'm always like, went to school in the Bronx, buddy.
Yeah,
that's what I say when I'm just like, let's not talk about
Riverdale Day School.
Yeah. So I went to Horace Mann.
Yo, Riverdale Day School.
Right, and it's kind of crazy because all these kids who are in my class did all these kind of amazing things, and it's kind of all the time I'm just like, I don't want to know. They've all had wonderful careers, but my school is also known for molesting at this point. It's kind of crazy.
You went to a Catholic school?
No, that's the thing is all these people were getting molested, and I had no idea.
No. But you're the one that your mom dressed up all nice and waxed.
Yeah, but you know what?
I guess you just weren't attractive enough.
I'm going to be honest with you. I mean, to be honest with you, I was wearing husky clothes in high school. All right.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I had some issues.
You were
I mean, it's kind of
pear-shaped.
weird. My mom. Not just pear-shaped. Well, you see, here's the thing is, I'm not sure I was that big, but what my mom did is there was this huge obese guy who was a year ahead of me who we were friends with his mom, and my mom would be like, why don't you give me his clothes and I'll just give them to Teddy? Right? That's me. I'm Teddy. So what would happen is they were all these husky clothes and they would reach my knees. You know what I'm talking about? The shirt would reach my knees.
No.
They were just ginormous shirts. So, I mean, I got to be honest with you. I was overweight, wearing horrible. Luckily, I was so unattractive and so unprepared for adolescence that I was ignored not only by the teachers but by the kids. So it was great. I had all, and the
molesters.
And the molesters. So you know what? Maybe in the end, not such a bad thing. My mom, forced me to become this. Yeah, but yes, I will take it. I will just say this. Do I have to? A little disclaimer. Obviously, I think molestation is a terrible thing, and I think Tim's joke was terrible, and I just think that Tim really made light of molestation, and I just want to say I take it very seriously. Okay,
and I want to go.
I can't believe Tim.
I want to go on record as saying we are not a pro molestation podcast.
We're not a pro molestation podcast.
So I think what Tim is referring to is I'm in high school. I'm around 14, and so what we try to do is our high school, this Horace Mann High School. I think what they want to do is they want to get these kids to commune with nature, right? Because when you grow up in, the urban jungle, so to speak, you don't really get that. So they had this I don't want to call it campus, but they had this land that was donated to them called John Doerr Nature Lab.
Sorry, if Tony Randall can steal your brownie, could rob you of your brownies, you need to get toughened up.
Wait,
exactly.
Can I just say something about the Tony Randall thing? Like, what if he were raising money for Soviet refugee Jewish children? And Tony Randall's taking that money away from the Soviet refugee Jewish children.
First of all, you're talking about Tony Randall, American legend, American treasure. I don't think he could do any wrong. I mean, if there's anybody who could steal a brownie and get away with it, it's Tom Hanks and Tony Randall. Period. You know what I'm saying? He was on the level. And by the way, I mean, I have to say, I don't know about you, but I can't even believe I watched so much Odd Couple that when I saw him going away, I was like, Felix can have it. You know what I mean? Anyway, let me tell you about high school.
Anyway, I'm sorry. I derailed you.
Let me tell you about my shitty high school experience. I wasn't, as you can imagine right now, I think I've given you no indication that I was a popular or well-adjusted child. Let's just say that at 14, I was kind of quiet, still finding my way. It was post, bar mitzvah season, going into high adolescence. And we go to this thing. It's in nature, and you're supposed to go with a week, right? And you go for a week, and you go with your language class, so you don't go behind in language, right?
Okay.
But whatever.
This is a sleepover thing.
It's 7 days. You're there for 7 days, and the person who runs it, God bless, very nice man. But when I was younger, he was a Vietnam vet, right? And we all had this idea back then in 1983, 1984. You're always like, yo, man, you got to watch out for those vets. You got to watch out for the Vietnam vets, man. You got to watch out. They're crazy. You know what I mean? I heard he's shell-shocked. Man. Yeah, I heard he did some shit. I heard he did some shit in Nam. You don't want to fuck with him. He's crazy. Yeah, when he stares at you, man, when he stares at you, it's just don't look away. Blink. Treat him like a cat. Just blink. If he blinks, you blink. Just don't. Yeah, just listen to him. I mean, before going, this guy's reputation was terrifying. You're just like, all right. And it was basically him and a bunch of how should I say it, hippie women running this nature lab where you would right, where you'd go and you'd look at microbe samples. Yeah, they were growing mushrooms, and you go in the woods and talk about mushrooms and bugs and animals and leaves, and you would try to learn each other and talk to each other. And there were all these I guess nowadays would be some helpful seminars where people would be like, yes, we're going to go around the table and everybody's going to talk about their dreams, and we're going to do I wish statements now, okay? And everybody's going to write their eulogy by the time we're done here, all right?
Oh, Jesus.
You're like, wait, I'm only 14. But anyway, so my mom, was like, I don't want you going on this trip. You are not smart enough. You're gonna what's gonna happen is you're gonna fall behind. You're gonna fall behind in French class, and God forbid, or in math class,
out there in the
English.
woods?
Exactly. What's gonna happen? You're just not smart enough. It was like almost like she's like, I can't hire a tutor for everything. And I'm like, Mom, I think I can handle it. Everyone else does. Like, no, we're gonna. You know what you're gonna do? We're gonna devise a plan for you to leave there as soon as possible. And me, I was just like, okay, what are we doing? And my mom's like, all right. When I was younger, we had ways to get out of school. Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna put. And it's kind of funny because.
I can't fix. I can't fix.
So my mom.
Plague.
Yeah, and it's kind of crazy. So my mom and my cousin Kenny come over to the house, and they're like, all right. Now, have you ever heard of ink? Now, this is funny because when I was telling, I didn't realize, I forgot what these are called. But my mom's like, have you ever heard of ink blotters? I'm like, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. Ink blotters. It's like the cardboard that you use for the desk. We're going to cut some insole shapes for your shoes. Now, if you put blotters in your shoes, you're going to get a fever. It's perfect. Nice low grade fever. It'll be about 100 degrees. I'm like, okay. So like they, and so they start like, and I mean, this is, and the weirdest part is it's like, I'm not even cutting these out. My mom is cutting out the bladders. Like, I'm just watching her like, what's happening here? Why have you organized this? Please. So she starts cutting out the nice like shoe shape and like fitting it in and like trimming it. And my cousin is, and then they're like, all right, you're going to get there. You get there Friday, right after school. The key is, now this is back in the day, no one had a car. My parents didn't have a car. They're like, look, you got to get sick on a certain day because we can only rent a car for a certain time, right? I'm going to rent the car the day you get sick. So we need to have a plan here. All right, you're going to have to, and plus I don't want you to miss Monday. So I need you to get sick by Sunday. All right, Jesus. Sunday. And I'm like, Mom, it's Friday to Sunday. This is like tight schedule. Right? Jesus. And I'm like, holy crap. And I'm like, yeah. So she gives me this. She's like, I'm putting the blotters in your shoes. We're going to start you off. You're going to get a fever right now. I'm like, all right. This is, by the way, this is leading up the whole week. And then on Thursday night, before I go, she gives me this bottle of something called Ipecac syrup, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And I don't know if you know what Ipecac syrup is, but it's like, oh my God, I ingested poison. It makes you throw up. She's like, I'm going to give you this bottle of Ipecac syrup. I bought it. When you go, take a little bit. You're going to throw up. But don't worry. You're not real sick. You're just going to throw up. And I'm like, what? I'm like, why do you have Ipecac syrup in the house? Like, what's going on here? And it was like this kind of crazy old jar of Ipecac syrup. It was like the hot wax. It was like, it had drippings on the side. Like, was it really closed? It probably has expired like 15 years. Right, like, it was kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like, I'm just like,
was your whole family synchronizing watches for when they had to rent the car and when you're supposed to throw up?
Right? Yeah. I'm like, well, I'm obedient and I don't know what to do. Right. So I'm there. I'm like, all right. And this is the craziest. Like, my mom still packs me this giant suitcase as if I'm going to be there for like 8 days. And I'm like, this is a really big flaw.
I put it
but
wax
the problem
in
is, I'm the one carrying this. I had to carry it to school. I had to carry it around. I'm carrying it. I mean, I'm carrying this bag for miles. And it's like, because you get there and they're like, all right, first thing we're going to do is everybody's going to carry their bag 1 mile to the hut. And you're like, what? And I'm like, my God, my mom just packed as if I was going to be here for 18 days. This is insane. So anyway, my mom gives me the prep on Thursday. Friday rolls around. I'm ready. I have my bag. I got my blotters in. I have extra blotters, in my suitcase. And I got the Ipecac here, and I'm ready. And now we're on the bus going up there, and I don't really have too many friends. And I remember, rest in peace, Matt Brudner. He was sitting next to me. I'm like, Matt, my mom wants me to. I need to tell someone. My mom wants me to get sick. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I don't know how. Because Matt was totally sympathetic. Matt was like, "Oh man, I don't want to be here either. I want to get out of here." And I'm like, "Well, I'm not sure. I don't want to be here. My mom doesn't want me to be here." And he's like, "No, we're gonna. You know what? We're going to do this. This is going to be great. All right. You know what? I'm going to be your coach. We're going to make this happen." And I'm like, all right, Matt, I appreciate it. Let's do this. So we get up there and we lug it in. And what happens, I'm trudging around the bladders. We're doing some stuff, right? Day one, We're hiking. It's an evening hike. We have a little dinner.
Okay.
Saturday morning, we're going to do the stream hike. And now I'm starting to get nervous. And now I have the Ipecac bottle in my bag, and I'm feeling my head. And I'm like, Matt, how does my head feel? Matt's like, I don't know. I don't know what a fever should feel like. I'm like, that's right. We're 13-year-old boys. Like, what the hell? But I'm like, feel my head. So we're just like conspiring the whole time. And we go on this hike, and the entire time I'm like, when do I take it? When do I take it? When do I have to be done tomorrow? It's like, well, it's got to be natural. I mean, you gotta, maybe wait after lunch. So, maybe we'll think you get food poisoning. I'm like, all right, that's a really good idea. So we're at lunch and
after
we're eating.
Lunch?
No. Well, hold on. We eat lunch and I'm sitting there and there's this big vat of hot chocolate. And I'm like, do I put it in the hot chocolate? Do I just get everybody sick? And I'm like thinking, man, and I'm sitting there. I'm like, I'll just get everybody sick. And then I'll just blend in. I'll blend in. Everybody will be throwing up. It'll be great. And we'll all be able to go.
A novella you're writing. Theo.
It's a great. By the way, it's a great idea. I got to say that my mom's idea was very short-sighted. My idea was like, think about it. It's suspicious right away if I immediately throw up. So we go there and I think about it. Matt's going, no, don't do that. Don't do it. That's the worst idea you've ever had. I'm like, all right, great. So I have it in my pocket. And now it's evening time. And by the way, it's evening time. We're having dinner. We're drinking. Now we're at the round tables. Everybody goes to their separate rooms, and we're at all these people are tables of 10, big
You're
round tables
your
of 10.
obituaries.
We're in that process. One of the hippy dippy ladies is there, and she's just like, yo, man, what's up? Like, this is great. You guys don't really know. You're communing with nature. But now we really need to communicate with ourselves. All right? Let's commune with ourselves. All right. That's pretty convincing, right? That's a pretty convincing.
This sounds like also the beginning of Theo's favorite porn movie.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Like we're communing. So I'm sitting there.
Were hippie ladies attractive? I want to know a little bit about the scene.
I mean, to be honest with you, you have to understand. There is no period where this happens because, well, A, I'm young. B, I'm wearing husky shirts. C, I've been hiking, which is for a husky man, nothing he should be doing. I then go into the bathroom while we're writing, and I take I take a big swig of the Ipecac syrup. And it kind of tastes like shit. I'm like, oh, I'll drink it. I put it back in my pocket. I sit down. And I'm writing, and I'm sitting there, and I'm like, oh, my God, who cares about my life, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, is this going to happen? Is this going to happen? And, like, nothing's happening, right? And it's been like a half hour, and Matt knows what I did, and Matt's looking at me like, dude, what's happening? I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. And I'm, like, sitting there, and the woman's like, all right, Lisa, why don't you read from, your inner thoughts? And I'm like, I'm just got to go to the bathroom again. I'm not feeling it. I go in and, oh, my God, I take another huge swig of Ipecac syrup.
Oh, no.
Now, once again, I have no idea what I am doing, like just zero. So we're sitting at the table. We're sitting there and we're writing and we're talking and we're writing. Next thing I know, I feel this, like my eyes start to glass over. And all of a sudden, I start just like my eye, like just start tears coming out. I don't understand why. And all of a sudden, you can hear my stomach. You can hear it. It's like hearing Old Faithful before it erupts, right? So you hear this thing, and then all of a sudden, it's like without warning, this incredible eruption. Incredible, forceful stream of like spew just goes straight across a 10-person table, and hits
across?
Basically the woman straight across from me, like not the woman, but like the students. You know what that's like? I've just thrown up on my adolescent classmates, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And then what happens is I can't stop throwing up. And God. When I say I can't stop, I'm like, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like just sitting there. Now I'm standing up and I'm just throwing up on the table. And the hippie woman is like, what the fuck are you doing? Get the fuck outside. Get the fuck. Yes. And I'm like, I can't blah. I'm just throwing up. And she grabs me from under the arm, starts dragging me outside and just puts me over the banister of the stairs. She just starts throwing up. And I wouldn't stop throwing up for about 25 minutes. And it was like this color of purple. I don't even know, but it was like purple. And I'm just throwing up. And I said, they're like, oh my God, are you okay? And I'm like, I don't know. They're like, all right, we got to take your temperature. And I'm like, all right. And I'm like, all right. And wouldn't you fucking know it, my temperature was 100.1 on the fucking nose.
My God.
And I'm like, holy
Mom,
shit.
you're
I'm
amazing.
like, what? I'm like, all right. And they're like, amazing. And then all of a sudden, like, they put me in isolation. They put me in the, and what they do is they put me in the pantry room, right? Like, I'm in pantry room. And here's where it gets even worse. They put me in the pantry room. And they're like, which is in like where the cafeteria is and all this other stuff. And it's basically like, I would say like a big janitor's closet, right? And they're in there and the door's closed. And like, I am like, and they have me like in some sleeping bag and it's smelly and it's weird. And I don't feel bad. And now I haven't eaten in hours, right? They won't let me eat anything. I just threw up everything, right? And so what I do now, it's like midnight. I sneak out of the room and I go across the kitchen. And I find the box of Entenmann's donuts, and I grab the box of Entenmann's donuts. I close, and I walk back to the pantry.
You're so desperate.
What was I going to do? Is this like I'm like there's like the crime like where that's powdered donuts too. So what am I going to do? It's going to be evidence everywhere. Either it was a Coke party or a donut party.
There you go.
And so I'm sitting there and I get it in there. And I mean, I swear to God, I rip the little off the little latch, and all of a sudden the woman storms open the door, and they're the hippie women, and they're like, "What is going on in here?" And I'm like, I was hungry. Donuts? You're gonna eat donut? If you're hungry, you can have like an apple. And I'm like, I don't know. I'm just like, and then they like just take the donuts. And I'm like, but I'm thirsty. And they're like, you could drink in the morning. And they just shut the door. I guess they had to clean up the throw up for like hours. Because I mean, I threw up all over the inside.
Commune with that, kids.
I think
exactly.
I think Theo is still explaining his favorite porn movie plot. That's all I want to say. And you won't tell us whether these hippie ladies are attractive or cute. I just want to know.
The thing is, I have no idea. I don't want to say anything. Could they be like Edie Brickell? Maybe.
Okay. Just
you know
say
what
that.
I mean?
Just
they have
say
that Edie Brickell
Just
vibe.
say that, Theo. Just say that.
But it wasn't Edie Brickell. It wasn't Edie Brickell, for the love of God. So, but they would wear those skirts probably and dance in a circle where the skirt went really high like a top, which I cannot stand. I don't know why. I hate the hippie dance thing. Anyway, so what happened is they call my mom. My mom's like, oh, what a surprise. I have to come there and pick him up on Sunday. Oh, what a surprise. Guess what? My mom has already rented the car from Hertz and is ready to be picking up. So then the next morning I see Matt. And Matt's like, give me the Ipecac. I'm like, what? He's like, give me the Ipecac. I want to do it. I'm like, all right. And so
you're getting everybody hooked on Ipecac.
So what happens is
ink blotters too,
Matt. So then all of a sudden, all these kids start taking the Ipecac syrup to get out of being there.
Plot
like
twist.
4 people after me took that Ipecac syrup and got out. Like they all went down on Monday. Like everybody was like, I guess, we got sick from Theo. And I destroyed the entire door experience for everybody.
No, you
and
did
I
not.
Just want to say,
Theo, you did not destroy it. Your mother destroyed it.
I mean, and I want to just say, and I really mean this from the bottom of my heart. If John, the director of Door, when I was there, could ever possibly get back to him that he could even hear this for 1 second, how bad I felt for how I thought he was and what I did to their fucking cabin. Because oh my God, and the fact that I lied to everybody. Holy shit! But anyway, I was back on school on Monday, and everybody was like, "Man, I heard you really threw up at Door." I'm like, yeah, I did. And I'm like, I don't even know how they heard that.
I had exactly 100.1 temperature.
That's how my mom treated the school process. And you want to actually, it's kind of the most amazing part of the whole thing is on the way home, my mom had looked up a really nice upstate place to eat, like whatever in Connecticut. So it was like one of these like little like Yankee Doodle like white clapboard like houses where they do like nice chowders and soups
roast,
and turkey, and we had like a really pot roast. We had a wonderful lunch. And a wonderful huge lunch
son.
with like Yorkshire pudding and all this, and we're like, this is crazy. like, yeah, man. And I just like to say that I'm not fluent in French, probably nor mathematics. So I mean, I don't know if my mom did what.
There you go.
The
end wasn't worse than in the end.
This was just like an episode of Laverne and Shirley.
It is like,
what could
possibly go wrong? Well, here you go.
I'm just can I just give you my one theory about Laverne and Shirley? Just may I? That is a show about, it's a show that was ahead of its time because it was about two Jewish women, but they weren't allowed to say they were Jewish. So they had to be, other ethnicities, right? But they were getting into Jewish kinds of situations. Yes. They were also in a Jewish city at the time doing, but they were like, Shamil Shamazel?
Yeah.
What Catholic person says Shamil Shamazel? No, they were Jews, but this is just telling you how far Jews have made it.
It's not. It was
a closeted
That's
Jew
when
show.
African American people would like pass as Caucasian.
Exactly.
But something along those. There is a word for it though, but I can't think of what it is.
I did want to give you, this episode is brought to you by Peck's. I love.
Yes, tell him about Peck's, for the love of God. 455A Myrtle Avenue between Washington and Waverly. What do we make, Tim, that you like? What do you like, Tim, from Peck's?
I'll give you a free advertisement. I think I caught COVID about 5 times, and every time I caught COVID, I walked over to Peck's and coughed on everybody and bought the matzo ball soup, and it cured me every time.
Thank you. Well,
I do love your matzo ball soup, to be serious.
Oh my God. By the way, you got to try our babka buns. Now, well, it's really funny. I can go right into shilling. It's really quick. It's just like my next mode. Now I'm going to shill.
Sorry.
Boom. Oh my God! Wait, have you tried the babka buns? We do donuts on Wednesday. Hump Day donut. Oh my God, our banana bread's legendary. We make the greatest muffins in the world, and I hate muffins. The cherry rye, the corn, the chocolate chip, the blueberry, gluten-free, banana walnut. Holy crap! Where do we get such great pastries? Everything made in house.
I do love the carrot cake muffin.
Oh my God! If you want to get fat, we have great breakfast sandwiches. The turkey what? The turkey club.
What?
God, have you had the turkey club? I know.
The egg with cheese and bacon.
Oh my God, the egg with cheese and bacon.
Every time I go to I chase.
John, when are you coming to Peck's, John?
Our prices are insane.
I'm not lying.
I actually used to go to Crazy Eddie, and you know what? Crazy Eddie went to Ratner's. There you go.
Did he really?
Bring it all back. Crazy Eddie used to go to Ratner's.
Is
that full circle or what?
If you could get Crazy Eddie and Tom Carvel to come to Ratner's, that would be like the most. That would be the most.
Not Tom Carvel, but definitely at Crazy Eddie. Are you kidding me? Flying saucers back in the day would crack your teeth. They were so hard.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, that's
all right.
Cookie Puss. I got your Cookie Puss right here, Tom Carvel.
Well, I mean, this is very pleasant. I'm hoping John comes to the city.
Oh, I will.
Tim, I will see you when you have some of our delicious breakfast sandwich, pastry treats, and more.
Yes.
Don't forget Peckish, which is on 49 Willoughby, which is right by Fort Greene Park and has homemade dog treats. Woof, woof.
Is this where you got the dog treat shaped like the meatball?
Yes.
Yes,
Theo. Theo, I have a complaint. I sat down with my dog treat. I broke it in half. You know how big they are. I laid down half, fed half to my dog's soul, and all these birds were like hopping around, tweeting. I'm like, "Hi, happy birds! Hi, happy birds!"
Wait, were they taking on?
And
souls?
one of those birds came over, picked up my half a treat, and flew away with it.
What?
So I guess what Tim is,
I want my 50 cents back.
Tim. I guess what Tim is asking you, Theo, is every morning you go out and shoot the birds.
Yes, get rid of these birds.
Oh my God! You don't understand. I have no idea.
Before you open up,
I have no idea why anyone thinks the birds are cute. Oh my God.
Okay, open for business, folks. Wednesday means donuts. Come on in.
No, Theo.
I mean,
Theo's got some bird seed with Epicat in it, and I think he can take care of these birds.
Oh my God! You don't understand. We actually had to get an owl for our house, our apartment. We got an owl to keep the pigeons away.
Oh wow!
We have owls.
What?
Fake owls. We have those plastic owls on our deck.
Oh, I know what you're talking
keep away
about.
like because they're Epicat.
Epicat breadcrumbs.
Ipecac, my God. You know what? Have you never taken Ipecac?
I had once, yeah.
Man, you know what? Yeah, because you had poison, or because you're like trying to lose weight?
I was bulimic. No, I had to because I guess I was destined to be a drug addict at like even age 3. I took a bottle of. I used to love to wait to get sick, and one time I took a whole bottle of the orange St. Joseph's Children's aspirin. And I ate a whole bottle of them, and my mother had to give me the Epicat.
They were tasty.
Oh, they were so good.
My
mother comes into the room just like as I'm putting, and it was like a full bottle too. And my mother comes into the bathroom just as I'm like putting like the second to last one in my mouth. And she's like, "Oh my God, what have you done?" And so of course she's dialing the phone. Of course you don't take a kid to the emergency room. Why would you do that? So somebody said, "Get Epicat." Probably a good Jewish neighbor said, "Get some Epicat."
Go over to Theo's mom's house. Get that Epicat.
It was some.
Well, I don't even know how to tell you this.
She said, "Give him some Epicat."
I can't even. I don't know how this ties in, but you're reminding me of this time where I threatened my mom that I was going to eat a whole bottle of Tylenol when I was like 15. I was like, "I'm going to eat this whole bottle of Tylenol." She's like, "Yeah, go ahead." Yes, go ahead. Yeah, we have Epicat. Just throw it up. Just throw it up.
We know how to use.
So
it'll give us time to wax your eyebrows while you're sick in bed.
While you're in that medically induced coma.
See that? Oh, look at that smooth. You see that?
All right, Theo. We really got
baby's bottom.
We got to
Sorry to take so much of your time.
No, I love your stories. I just have to keep.
Well, I think we can make a mini series out of Theo.
Yes. We'll have to
definitely have you back.
Well, anytime, guys. I love talking. It was great talking with you guys.
Thank you so much. It was so great to meet you.
I've always wanted to experience this. Yeah, my pleasure.
Goodbye, Theo. Thanks for being on the show.
Bye. Bye.
Okay, John.
That was wonderful.
An amazing show.
Good. I think we're going to have to skip, and I know it's like the most popular segment of our show. We're probably going to have to skip the SETI Q&A this week just because we kind of went over on time this week.
Oh, yeah. That's just for movies.
Exactly. Although we could have asked questions like who would have farted, who would be the most to fart in the elevator, the first to fart in the elevator. I'm guessing one of those hippie women at the retreat.
Well, I think you were going to you had your Tony Randall quiz, but
Tony Randall could fart in it. Anyway. So.
No, a quiz about
it. Okay, maybe we'll come up with, maybe I'll come up with a quiz next week. Like working Rock Hudson and Doris Day. You know how like they did those few movies all together?
Yes. Well, what are we watching next week?
We are watching
Why do you say that?
We are watching a 1973 made-for-TV movie produced by Mr. Aaron Spelling entitled Satan's School for Girls.
Ooh.
And, well, before anybody starts getting...
It sounds more...
I was going to say, before anybody starts getting excited, it is not softcore porn.
No, it's TV.
It's
not like one of Theo's stories.
It's not like one of Theo's stories. But anyway, Satan's School for Girls.
I mean, come on. He's like, I'm at a camp. These hippie ladies are grabbing me and dragging me outside.
I'm throwing up like the Exorcist kid. What kills me is that his mother came up with it. That's like the most funny part of the whole thing. Like his mother came up with this idea. He's talking the whole time like, "Oh, I guess I ruined the retreat." I'm like, "No, your mother ruined the retreat." Yes. And I did not know about ink blotters in shoes. I'm gonna have to research the science on that. Exactly 100.1. I got to look into that.
That was amazing. I think witchcraft was involved.
I think it was some sort of Jewish folklore, like the golem is involved with it or something.
Anyway, we gotta go,
Tim.
We have no email, and if you want to email us, it said SETIBIMCO with the E at gmail.com, and we're on Twitter at SETIBIM and Instagram SETI_BIMCO. Send us a letter and complain about Theo's story.
Mm-hmm. Or mine, or Tim's.
Or mine.
Yeah. There we go.
And we're going to watch that movie next week.
All right, Tim, you have a great week.
Good. We're done.
Bye.
So long.
SETI BIMCO is a podcast by Tim Hamilton and John Kelly, produced by Miss Lee, music by Tim Hamilton. This has been a Pity Party Line production.
Party line, it's a party line.